Hey guys, Nirman here, and welcome back to another video. Just to let you know, this video is going to be the start of a series called the Colorado Vlog Series, where I tell you about our almost week-long trip we took to Colorado. So in this video, I'll be giving information on planning out your trip, and I'll be touching base on the route map we took, general information on each area, efficient budgeting, and just general preparedness for the trip. If you want to see more detailed info on each area, please stay tuned after this video and I'll tell you how. But for now, please enjoy this itinerary guide to Colorado. Alright guys, so let me tell you the first leg of our journey. So that night we actually landed in Denver International Airport after a fairly long flight. So we decided to pick up our rental car straight from the airport instead of taking a shuttle to the hotel and picking up our car the next morning because we knew we'd be losing precious time for the rest of our trip. So yeah, we picked up a rental car and we headed to our hotel, which was near the airport, so we could get a nice and bright and early start the next day. So yeah, so the next day we headed from Denver International Airport to a place called Estes Park. Now now the distance between the airport and Estes Park is 1 hour and 31 minutes. So yeah, so we headed there, and one thing you should keep in mind is when you get to the entrance of the park, remember to book your tickets early and have the printouts with you. So mind you, there is a timed entry, uh, which is going on here, which started from May 2021. So we had to book our tickets online based on our time slot. And yeah, the website is going to be linked in the description below to book your tickets for the park entrance. So after we entered the park, we headed to Estes Park, and on the way, we observed very nice landscapes and views of the Rocky Mountains, and yeah, and some great natural wildlife. And yeah, so in the area near Estes Park, we went on a nice hike. It was long, but it was pretty. All right, guys. So after our hike in Estes Park, we headed to a place called the Alpine Visitor Center, which is about 51 minutes from Estes Park. And on the way, we did stop at a few overlooks, like the Rainbow Curve Overlook and the Forest Canyon Overlook. I do recommend you check a few of them out just to get an idea of the different views. But yeah, you don't have to go to all of them. So the Alpine Visitor Center is a pretty unique place because the views from there are are of some pretty barren parts of the Rocky Mountains, and the time we went, we can also we could see some small pockets of ice in some of the places. So as you can see in the pictures here, there are some very small pockets of ice, and yeah, that was very unique from the rest of the places we went to. Yeah. So from the Alpine Visitor Center, we headed to a very small town called Rifle. Now, from the Alpine Visitor Center to Rifle is about 2 hours and 45 minutes, and that's where we decided to stay for the night. All right, guys. So the next day, I started off in Rifle, which we reached the previous night before. And the reason we didn't go straight to Black Canyon of, of the Gunnison is because by the time the previous night we reached Black Canyon from the Rocky Mountain National Park, it would have been too late because the whole drive would have been about 4 to 5 hours, and it would have been very late, and yeah, it would have caused a huge problem. So that's why we decided to lay over at Rifle. So from Rifle to the Black Canyon of the Gunnison is about 2 hours and 15 minutes. So the Black Canyon is a pretty unique place, and the whole topography there is basically completely different from 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 Rocky Mountain National Park. As you can see here, the landscape here is a lot more dry and a lot more arid than the Rocky Mountains from before. So yeah, and we did enjoy some great hikes there, and overall, it was a great place to be. So yeah, from the Black Canyon, we headed to the town of Telluride, which is about 2 hours and 26 minutes from the Black Canyon. And yeah, Telluride is a pretty interesting place too, because it's known as the Switzerland of America, and rightfully so, because the whole town is modeled after old European cities, specifically found in Switzerland. So it's a very beautiful place. We enjoyed the town very much. One pretty interesting thing that is found there is the free gondola system, which actually takes you on top of the mountains, and you can enjoy the excellent views, and also there are also many great restaurants up there where you can dine and enjoy the views together. So overall, it was a great place, and that's where our hotel was. So we went there and we had a great time. All right, guys. So this is technically day 4 of our trip. So this was a fairly uneventful day, but we did take a nice hike in Telluride, and the hike was to a place called the Bear Creek Falls, or the Bear Creek Trail hike, where we went up to a very beautiful falls, and we hiked through a very natural and beautiful trail. So yeah, we quite enjoyed that. So after spending most of the morning and afternoon doing that, we we headed from Telluride to town called Cortez, which is strategically about 10-12 minutes from a place called Mesa Verde National Park, which you will get to know. All right, guys, so let's move on to day 5. Now, from Cortez, of course, as you know, we reached Cortez the last day, and yeah, as you can see here, Cortez is located in a pretty barren and dry area from the place we were in last time. So when you're driving down the road, you can slowly see the change from lush mountains to a Colorado desert. So that's pretty interesting. Yeah, so from Cortez to the Mesa Verde visitor center is about 10 or 12 minutes depending on depending on some factors. So yeah, 10 or 12 minutes from Cortez to Mesa Verde. Now, Mesa Verde is a very interesting spot because Mesa Verde is home to some pretty historic and ancient ruins of both the Puebloan and Navajo people who constructed small houses and buildings inside mountains and just made a civilization of their own. So it's a pretty cool place. So, and it was filled with hikes. You know, the whole day was filled with hikes, a lot of history, and just a lot of very interesting architecture and natural beauty too. So it was a great place. We spent a pretty long day there. We were all pretty tired after Mesa Verde, and yeah, so from there, we headed to Durango. Now, from Mesa Verde to the town of Durango is about 56 minutes. And mhm. and yeah, so we just did that and we spent the rest of the day in Durango. So that's pretty much it. All right, guys. So now we head on to day 6. So it all starts at the Durango and Silverton Narragash Railroad, which is about 5 minutes from our hotel in the town of Durango. So the train we took from the train station in Durango is called the Cascade Canyon Express. So it basically takes you to a place called Cascade Canyon in a very vintage model of a train from the 1800s, which has been renovated for tours along the mountainside. And one thing to keep in note is that there's two types of coaches: one which is covered, and the other which is the gondola. So we highly recommend you go in the gondola because that's where you'll get the best views. And if you're booking tickets online, we do recommend you choose the right side of the gondola coach because that's where you'll see the mountainside views and stuff. So yeah, and the whole train ride takes about 5 hours from going and coming back. So yeah, it's overall a great experience that we highly recommend. So yeah, that's basically how we spent most of our morning and noon. All right, so from the Durango and Silverton Narrow Gauge Railroad, we headed to a town called Alamosa, which is very close to our next destination. So from Durango, it's about 2 hours and 53 minutes. So we reached there and we crashed at the hotel for the rest of the day. All right, guys, so day seven, and our day started in Alamosa, which we had reached the previous night before. So from Alamosa, we headed to a place called the Great Sand Dunes National Park, which was about 31 minutes away from Alamosa. And and there's a reason why it's so close away, because we were trying to reach the Great Sand Dunes in the early morning times to avoid the intense heat that happened in the afternoon and noon time. So, yeah, we headed there in fairly early morning, and when we got there in the sand dunes, it was hot, but it wasn't unbearable. And I do recommend you guys check this place out, because it is one of the most unique places the whole of the United States. And of course, judging by the title, the Great Sand Dunes National Park is this place is known to have the most well known and biggest sand dunes in the whole of the United States. So yeah, we were able to hike through the sand dunes, and it was a fairly hard but still rewarding hike when we reached the not the top but fairly near the top. So yeah, it was overall a great experience, and I definitely recommend you check it out. After leaving the Great Sand Dunes National Park, we headed to a place called the Broadmoor, Manitou, and Pikes Peak Cogwheel Railway Station. Now, from the Great Sand Dunes, it's about 2 hours and 45 minutes. Now, the Broadmoor, Manitou, and Pikes Peak Cogwheel Railway Station is a pretty unique place. From this place, you take a cogwheel train up to a place called Pikes Peak. And the whole ride lasts about 3 hours from going and coming back. And now this cogwheel ride is listed as one of the highest cogwheel trains in the whole world. The steepest one is located in Switzerland. So yeah, and once you get there, you'll be able to observe the amazing views from up top, and also enjoy the gift shop and cafe there. So yeah, and also one more thing, remember to bring some very warm clothes, and I mean very warm clothes, because it gets pretty chilly up there, and yeah, it would be a lot more comfortable with warmer clothes. So from the Broadmoor, Manitou and Pikes Peak railway station, we headed to Colorado Springs, where we booked our hotel, and from the Cogwheel station, it was about 17 minutes. So that's where we crashed for the night. So our last day of our trip started with us leaving Colorado Springs and going to a place called Pulpit Rock Park, which is from Colorado Springs, is about 11 minutes. And at Pulpit Rock, we took a pretty nice hike around the rock structure, and yeah, as you can see in the pictures, it's a pretty unique rock. And yeah, so after the hike, we just went straight to the airport. We returned our car and we headed home through our plane. And yeah, that was the end of our trip. Alright, guys, remember to like, subscribe, and click that little bell icon to get notified of the latest Nirm Show episodes, and most importantly, to get notified of the latest Colorado vlog episodes. And these episodes will be much more detailed guides on the places we went in Colorado. And anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all later.